Hi everybody, happy November. If it's November and we're in cooking class, you know what that means. It means it's time for Thanksgiving. And I am doing something this year called a spatchcocked turkey. What the heck is that? It's actually a very simple, quick, and easy way to prepare a whole bird. So I am doing a butterflied turkey, essentially. What I've done is I picked out an organic, fresh, free-range turkey from the butcher, and I asked him to remove the backbone. This is something that I'm not even going to demonstrate on camera because I have found that most people's homes do not have the proper kitchen shears or a good enough knife to take the backbone out of the turkey themselves, and it can actually be a little bit on the dangerous side if you're not familiar with it. What I do want to show you is this turkey that has already been rinsed. So I showed you how to do that. You can rinse it if you like, but or not, but I always do. And pat it dry. So this turkey here is about 14 pounds, and you can see the backbone has been removed. If you have to do it yourself, just notice that the back is on the opposite side of the turkey breast. So if you're not sure still where the breast is and where the back is always more flat than the breast. And then you can think of like your hands, right, are the wings and they're pointing up. So this is breast and then the reverse is back. So we are removing that backbone because we are gonna cook this turkey totally flat. And that is wonderful for roasting the turkey very evenly. Sometimes turkeys are kind of tricky because that dark meat doesn't cook as evenly as the white meat. And so you might end up getting some dry white meat and then the dark meat's not done. And this, again, cooks the turkey much more evenly. So I think you're gonna like this preparation. It does take up a little bit more room in your oven. So if you have an oven like mine and you're used to cooking two turkeys side by side, you may not be able to fit two spatchcocked birds side by side. But that said, if you're just doing one turkey, this could end up being a game changer for you. So with this 14-pound turkey, we are going for a total cook time of 1 hour and 10 minutes. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a nice dry rub. There are a couple of very important tips that I wanna give you about cooking a turkey. Number one is seasoning it. It has to be properly seasoned. So if you get this bird home from the market on Monday or Tuesday, you can start doing this dry rub as soon as you get home from the market. Rinse the turkey, pat it dry, and then start your dry rub. Okay, I know my hands are dirty, but we're gonna wash everything afterwards. I've got some kosher salt right here, and this is all going into my mini food processor. You could also do this in a blender, I think would be just fine. I have some herbs. So these are great poultry, fresh herbs, sage, rosemary, thyme, marjoram works really well. All the leaves are pulled off of the stems. And in this way, we'll get some really nice, finely chopped herbs. Okay, let's blitz them. That looks great and it smells wonderful. All right, you don't have to do this preparation. You can also do something called a wet brine, and that would be more of a 24-hour kind of marinate, and that's in a diluted saltwater solution. So you can find those recipes either on my website or in my holiday ebook. So whatever way you want to go is fine. But another way that you could potentially go is by getting a kosher turkey. Those are already brined and you don't have to do any salting to it whatsoever. You can just put some herbs on it, and I would highly recommend that. It kind of saves you a step. All right, at this point, I'm going to remove the paper towel and make sure that your turkey has been flattened by the butcher by just pressing on that breastbone like that. You almost have to kind of elevate yourself. If you need a step stool, get it, and just push down it, and you might hear it crack. And this one I can see was done because you can see that the breastbone is actually cracked right there. That helps it to lie more flat. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is take my herb rub and just put it all over the skin of the turkey on the outside and then also on the underside, because we want to flavor this meat underneath this as well. So now I'm going to flip this over like this and then put this on the inside like that too. And this just really perfumes the meat beautifully. The salt will have a chance to permeate the meat and it will be so tasty, and it also helps it stay nice and moist. Now I always end up saving like a teaspoon or so, and then I might even go underneath in the, let me turn this around so you guys can see. So over here is the breast area, and if you kind of pull that skin a little bit and just angle your fingers underneath and pull that membrane, you can actually get a little bit of that salt inside here. And sometimes people will do that with like a compound butter. So you take a softened butter and you can put some herbs in it, and then you can shove that underneath between the skin and the meat of the turkey. So just, it's much easier to do when I'm going this way. Okay, so there we have it. So now your bird is nicely seasoned, and I'm gonna stick this in a bowl right now with the breast side up. I'll show that to you in a minute. Okay, if there's any extra herbs on here, just clean them up. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this in the refrigerator until basically Thanksgiving Day, and I'll just cover it like this. And maybe I'll put another piece of plastic wrap on top. And if you want, like after 24 hours, if you've done this on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday morning, kind of massage the turkey a little bit just to kind of get that salt and the herbs in there even more. And then put this on your schedule. I hope you're writing a schedule, because otherwise, if I didn't write a schedule, I'd forget everything. But on Wednesday night, before I go to bed, I always lift the plastic wrap off, and then I allow the turkey skin to dry out a little bit, and that will give you a little bit of a crispier skin. I love doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna go wash my hands, and then this is going in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so let's pretend it's Thanksgiving morning. I've already given you one of my essential turkey tips, which is to salt your bird early. My next one is to make sure the turkey is out of the refrigerator at least 90 minutes, maybe even 60 if you're doing a very small bird, but I prefer 90 minutes to get the chill off of the bird. You cannot put a gigantic piece of protein into your oven when it's ice cold. It will not cook evenly at all. So that's tip number 2. And my point is that I'm telling you these things so that you can apply them to any turkey recipe, not just this one. So we're gonna take our bird out of the bowl, and then we're gonna lay it flat. And you can see I've got this roasting pan right here. It's actually a rimmed baking sheet. And then I have this kind of wire rack. Sometimes they say they're not appropriate for oven use, but I use them all the time and they're fine. So this will kind of give really good air circulation, heat circulation around the bird, underneath and on the top. So if you are not doing a spatchcocked turkey, then just get yourself a good heavy-duty roasting pan with one of those V-shaped racks. And again, that's what that is for, is to give air circulation and good heat around the turkey in all parts. So I want you to notice the position that this is going to be cooking in. So we've got our legs pointed out this way, and then the wings I am going to actually kind of bend back. So I want these tips to go underneath, because what happens is anything that's pointing up and exposed will end up getting burned potentially. So I'm just going to tip these back, and if you notice at any point there's a part of the turkey that is getting incredibly dark, and you've tested the temperature of it and it doesn't seem like it's done in certain spots and it has to keep roasting, you can always do what's called a foil shield, where you take a piece of aluminum foil and you just cover whatever part it is that seems to be getting overly dark. Now, I like to put some sort of fat on the turkey before I put it in the oven. You can choose to do olive oil or avocado oil, or you can even choose to do something like a melted butter, which is what I'm doing. I like how the butter browns the turkey skin, but if you are kosher or you're dairy free, then olive oil will be just fine and very, very tasty. Now, if you notice that any part of the turkey is hanging off of the edge of your rimmed baking sheet, then maybe get a bigger sheet, or you may want to put a piece of foil at the bottom of your oven to catch any potential grease drips, because it doesn't smell good in your oven, and who wants to be cleaning the bottom of your oven on Thanksgiving? Not me. Okay, so that looks wonderful, and I'm gonna head over to the oven where I am gonna put the turkey in at 450 degrees, and at the same time I'm gonna be putting some water in the bottom of the rimmed baking sheet, because I want to be able to have some juices start to accumulate, and I don't want any of the drippings to burn. All right, now I'm going to pour in some water. If you're using a 3/4 sheet pan, then you might want to start with 1.5 cups of water. If you're using a half sheet pan, then a cup of water should be just fine. But keep your eye on the juices and make sure that the drippings are not burning, because you want to have some juices ready for your gravy too. So I start with water, and then later on in the cooking process, I'll add white wine. You can even add something like chicken stock or turkey stock as well. I'm going to be baking this on convection, but you can bake this at a regular oven setting. Just remember, if you do use convection, you have to start 25 degrees less. And the reason that I do convection in my oven is because my oven does not brown things very well. And I learned this the hard way 2 Thanksgivings in a row. So now I do it on convection, and it turns out in the same amount of time, but just at 25 degrees less. So we're going to start off at a really high temperature. And I'm going to put it in the middle of the oven. And I'll time this for 30 minutes, at which point we will add a little bit of white wine, and then we'll turn the temperature down a smidge. Okay, so I noticed that some of the oil is dripping off of my turkey drumstick. So I'm going to put my foil down on the bottom, and it's going to catch any of those drippings. And then I'm going to lower the temperature by 50 degrees. And I'm going to pour a little bit of white wine into my pan again, just to make sure I have some very flavorful drippings. But this bird is looking beautiful already. Okay, so we're going to keep it in here for another about 40-ish minutes. Okay, so the turkey is now out of the oven. I have to take the temperature. It has cooked for a total of 1 hour and 10 minutes. I know, I can't believe it either, 14 pounds. So I have a really good meat thermometer. It's called a Thermapen. Use whatever you want. There are these kind too. These are 12 bucks. These are a little bit more, but this is the only way that you will know if your turkey is done. Do not rely on a recipe that you've seen online, in a cookbook, in a magazine, in a store. It's all about the thermometer. This is tip number 3. Super, super important. So I'm gonna stick this in the thickest part of the thigh. I am looking for this to be about, this is at 179, that's perfect. You can even do it at like 170, and then in the thickest part of the breast, you can go sideways like this. And this is at this is a little overdone in my opinion. This is at 178, so I'm gonna keep this out. Now, here's a tip for you. If you have turkey meat that is not quite as moist as you were hoping it would be, make sure you always have extra chicken stock or turkey stock on hand. Heat it up to its like boiling point, and then you carve your turkey. You act really cool, like there's nothing wrong with it. You plate it onto your platter, and then you pour your hot stock over your cut pieces, and people will think it's the moistest turkey they've ever had in their entire lives. I'm going to cover this with foil. We need to keep it warm, and now it needs to rest. That's important tip number 4. Turkey needs time to rest. The juices need to redistribute themselves, because if you start cutting into this bird right now, all the juices are going to splay out everywhere. Since this bird, the breast meat is a little bit, the temperature is like a little higher than I wanted it to be, I might only allow this to rest for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is your minimum, but if it was like at the perfect temperature, I'd probably let it go 30. If you wanted to undercook it slightly and go like 155 on the breast and like 165 on the thigh, then you can let it rest for a little bit longer.